Hăīre, φίλε, and welcome. Today we are in John chapter 3, taking a look at verses 32 through 33, finishing off this first page. I believe after this we still have 3 more verses, and then we are done with the chapter. So we're getting really close there. Here is our rubric, everything we're looking for as we go through this text. Let's go ahead and get started. Ho heoraken kai ekusen tuto marturei kai tein marturian autu udes lambane ho lambon autu tein marturian esfragisen hoti hothes os alethes estin. And there we have it. Very first right there we have a verb immediately after this thing, which we'll look at in a moment. Heoraken, we have epsilon nu there as our ending. And then we've got this kappa, which tells us that we probably have a perfect tense verb, because normally it's the kappa, which is the final letter of perfect tenses in regular verbs. Looking at the front, we've got heo, our 2 syllables right there, and it doesn't immediately look like we have an augmenting vowel, since we have an epsilon rather than an eta. And then we've got the aspiration right there, which you wouldn't normally expect to find on just an epsilon augmenting vowel. If it's an epsilon that's added to the front of a verb where there wasn't an epsilon beforehand, it's not going to be aspirated. But instead, the brain failure, the vowel that's changed at the front is this omega. At least I think that's how it is. It says heurisco, heureso, heuron. No, wrong verb. Horao opsamai edon heoraka. So yeah, I'm not sure why it does that in horao in the perfect tense, but it did. So third singular perfect tense. It is active and it is indicative. So he has seen, there should be the perfect present tense with starting in the past having present effects, or just he saw, a full past tense. Probably going to be present perfect, since John is not afraid to use aorists. So if there's a perfect tense, it's there for a reason. All right, looking back, we've got ho, but then we've got the grav accent right there, which then grav makes sense because it's got an accented word immediately following it. But with the aspiration there, we know that this is from hos he ho, our relative pronoun. So this is a nominative or accusative singular neuter. Could be the subject of this verb. We'll find out. So could be what has seen, looking ahead, coordinating conjunction, another verb with epsilon nu, that's the third singular, ekusen. This is when it's going to be the aorist, because the perfect tense of this verb is akekoa. Active and indicative. All right, tuto. Tuto could be the object of these 2 verbs, what has seen and heard this, but that doesn't make much sense because tuto is the same gender as ho. And then we've got marturei right there, followed by another independent clause. So it would make more sense for tuto to be the object of marturei and ho to be the object of these 2 verbs. What he has seen and heard makes a lot more sense than what has seen and what has heard. So that's how I'm going to treat it, as an accusative. And I'm going to write in the alternate pronoun there with capitalization, just in case. Tuto, accusative, I don't need the C's, singular and neuter. No, it's neuter because there's no letter after the omicron right there, because it's hutos aute tuto. So this marturei, epsilon iota right there, and just as with lale this is another contract ending, and it's going to be the exact same form with epsilon, epsilon, iota. So that's a third singular present tense, active and indicative. Witnesses. Okay, so then what he has seen and what he heard, he witnesses this. And now if it's Jesus that John the Baptist is talking about as the subject of these sentences, we'd want to capitalize he's, just convention. Also, do honor where honor belongs. Kai and tain martyrion autu udes lambanein, there we go. Epsilon iota right there, not a contract ending because the accent is still on the penult, and it's not circumflex. So this is a third singular present, lambano, active and indicative. Now, looking back at this, we've got clear direct object with tain martyrion alpha nu right there. We've seen this enough recently, do not bother. The witness, autu, again, something we've seen a lot. His, udes. Now this is the only word that is in question. We've got epsilon iota sigma there as our ending for our word, which my brain just blanked on. Udes, uden. I don't remember what the feminine form is. Maybe there isn't a solitary feminine form. So this one could be nominative singular, or yeah, I think that's it. Because if it were accusative, it would be udena, I want to say. So our subject, masculine, no one accepts or receives. The word I always misspell. Whatever. Okay, so far so good. I think all this makes sense. Let's move on and we'll come back and look at it for proper sense once we finish verse 33. Ho lambon, omega nu right there. So this is the present form of this verb. In the aorist, the mu drops out, the alpha and the nu also drop out. So it's lambano leipsomai. Maybe not that for the future. I don't remember the future. And then alabon. So we don't have the augmenting vowel right there. Instead, we've got an omega nu, which then tells us that this is a participle. And it's going to be the same as our present participle right there in form. But in this case, it's not the present, because it's off of the aorist tense, so it's just an aorist active participle. Nominative, singular, masculine because of the article. Aorist, active participle, article modifying it. The one accepting, autu tain martyrion. Okay, autu, seen that before. His, seen these before. The witness. So it's very interesting that autu appears before tain martyrion, since we've got it after here. Now this could just be a literary device where we've got A, B, B, A, which would be cool in and of itself. But there might also be something else going on. Might be that autu is playing a special role with lambon right there. But I think more likely that it's just a literary device, because you got witness his, or just accepts his witness. It's something like that. So A, B, C, C, B, A. Which, whenever something like that happens, that's really cool. Oh, what is it called? So it's a golden something or other, or silver something or other when they do this. If I have the time, I'll look it up and post it. But it's something that usually only happens in poetry. But I think that makes a lot more sense for the reason behind autu appearing before this. Anyway, let's move on. esfragissen. Epsilon u right there is our ending. We've got a third person singular. Got an augmenting vowel with that, because this comes from sfragidzo. So this makes it aorist tense. It is active and it is indicative. But then there's one other thing about this. So as I said, this is sfragidzo. So we've got a zeta right there. And apparently found out, what was this, 2 weeks ago, I think? 2 weeks ago my time, so who knows how many weeks ago the video's time, that idzo verbs, which this one is, tend to be known as causative verbs. Causatives. I'll just write it that way in case. And that means that it's not so much somebody does this, but somebody causes this to be. So that is actually how I'm going to translate this, and I think that's going to be my policy from here on out for idzo verbs, unless it just doesn't make sense that way. So idzo, adzo, those are the two. And there will, of course, be a few of them that don't make sense to have the causative meaning, at least not as far as English would understand it. But anyway, so he caused to be marked or attested or sealed or acknowledged. I know, it's a bit weird in English. We would probably just shorten it down and get rid of the cause to be and just he marked it. So, hoti, because or that, let's leave that alone until we take a look at the rest. Ho theos, seen that before, nominative singular, the particular God, the one God. Estin is alethes, eta sigma right there, nominative singular, and masculine of this third declension adjective. I think it's a third declension. Ace. Yeah, if it were a noun, then we would expect ace as the nominative singular masculine of the first declension. But I'm 99% sure this is an adjective. If not, there'll be a note. So anyway, alethes, alethes. Yes, adjective makes sense. This is a two-termination adjective. Ace for masculine and feminine, and then S for neuter. So, God is truthful. So there we go. That is all of verse 32 and 33. Let's take a look at them in their own context and figure out which of our different translations for some of the words make most sense. What he has seen and he heard, this he witnesses, and his witness no one accepts. The one accepting the witness, he caused to be marked, he caused to be attested, he caused to be sealed, he caused to be acknowledged, that the God is truthful, or because the God is truthful. I think I'm going to go with that. Sealed, I don't think makes any sense here, so that one is off. He caused to be acknowledged that the God is truthful. He attested that the God is truthful. He marked that the God is truthful. I think any of these three work, but attest, I like that one the most. So that's the one that I'm going to select for that. Accepts, I just like that word a lot more than receives, primarily because I know how to spell it properly. You know, just a little bit of bias there. Okay, so there it is now from verse 31 in the whole context, and then we're done. And you can be free after like 37 minutes of me talking about things that don't matter. All right, the one coming from above is above all, over all. Let's go with over because we've got above right there. Who is being from the earthland earth is from the earthland earth, and he speaks or he talks from the earthland earth. The one from the heaven coming is over all. What he has seen and what he heard, this he witnesses, and the witness, no one accepts. The one accepting the witness, he caused to be attested that the God is truthful. And there we have it. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you, and I hope that you have a good day. But before I go, I'm at least going to talk about this. So, what he has seen has as I said, a present perfect sense right here, where heard is just past, it's done. Unless we treat it as a Hebrewism, in which case this kai with a kusen is actually going to be the equivalent of what in Hebrew we call, not a Hebrew scholar, sorry, what my Hebrew teacher anyways calls the vav consecutive, or a preterite of sorts. Normally it would be working with the Hebrew imperfect, which is the equivalent of the Greek future, but it also works with the Hebrew perfect, which is kind of like the Greek aorist, or perfect, something along those lines, in which case we would treat this as the same tense as heoraken, in which case it would be what he has seen, and, though aorist, what he has heard. Maybe. That probably is reading way too much into this. But anyway, at the very least, since this is a perfect tense, past action, start, present tense, effect, we could actually translate this as what he knows and he heard. Because what one has seen, one knows. So there we go. Now I'm done. Have a good day.
Hey, not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other videos that are equally sleep-inducing. Check them out. Alternatively, you could take a look at this video over here.